Good Sunday morning to you. It's the 8th of September 2024, and first up we have the antiquing wax little demo and tip. Should take about a minute or a minute and a half, and then we'll go on to a project. So here you can see I've got my coffee warmer out, and for real I have burnt umber in my hand, not burnt sienna like last time. So I've melted a tablespoon of beeswax pastilles. I've added a teaspoon of mineral oil, and I've added a half teaspoon of burnt umber paint. Now I have to tell you, I found that when this was all mixed up and hardened, it was a harder combination than the one I did for burnt sienna. For some reason, burnt sienna is just softer with those ratios than this burnt umber. So I ended up, I think, putting in 2 teaspoons of mineral oil. And mineral oil is nothing different than baby oil. So wherever you can get it the cheapest, use that. They're exactly the same thing. I melted them together, mixed them up with my spatula, my silicone spatula, and then shut my coffee warmer off and let it harden. Then I got out my demonstration coaster and rubbed some on the edge so that you can see this burnt umber versus burnt sienna. There's baby oil right next to mineral oil, exactly the same thing. And here I'm showing you the color difference. Burnt sienna is a little redder, and burnt umber, it looks like melted chocolate or like black coffee, like espresso powder or something like that. Now, I think this is before I added the second teaspoon, so I started putting it on, and I was struggling getting it out of the tin. It's chilly in here, and my finger wasn't warming it up well enough. So I stopped and remelted it and put in another teaspoon of baby oil. Today's project is a picture frame and a stand. I've already put champagne colored mica powder on the opposite corners of a rectangular picture frame mold. It's very shallow, and I only wanted the outside of the frame. I didn't want to do the whole frame. I'm not sure that was a good idea, but live and learn. So I'm using Magic Pour plus 25 milliliters of extra water on top of the ratio that for, I'm guessing, what I need for this mold because I have no clue. I used alcohol ink in that smoky blue that I really like but don't have a lot of to augment the blue tempera paint that we've been using off and on now. We tested it a few weeks ago. And as you can see, I struggled with the Magic Pour clumping up. I had put the alcohol ink into my measured water, and I put the tempera paint into my measured dry mix, just like if I was a baker, wet into wet, dry into dry. And, it took me a while to get it mixed up. And it was very, very thick. I kept adding extra 5 milliliters of water, and it just did not loosen up ever, which means I got a very clumpy, gloppy pour. And we'll see in a minute if that was enough to ruin the project or not. That was attempt number 1. Attempt number 2 came out intact, but it could not be finished because of the drying time and so forth for this show. So I moved on to bring you some other kind of content. And as you can see, I am struggling to get this little piece out of its mold. Eventually I'll get the piece out and you'll get to see it. I've been making myself wait and wait and wait until I made this piece to make sure that I would get a successful demold, because I'm testing 2 different products and one I clearly like better than the other. but the one that I don't like as much takes color generally much better than the one I like a whole lot. I know that sounds confusing, but if you've been traveling along for the last month, I've been testing out two different products. Here's our little guy. I made myself wait patiently. I colored him with acrylic paint. His eyes, even though there are relief cuts in the mold to make his eyes and nose and all that jazz, I actually drew over with a superfine, gosh, I can't remember which pen it is. Because he's a stand-in for the project I originally wanted to do today, he lost an ear, unfortunately, in unmolding. And so he'll sit on my desk, and I'll probably use him as a tester piece to demonstrate some dry brushing or some other finishing techniques that we either haven't shown or haven't tried. Thanks so much for joining me. This was a very stressful show to put together because everything kept failing, kind of like a couple of weeks ago. But we managed to pull it off, and I appreciate your patience and your kindness. Thanks so much again for joining me. God bless you, and I'll see you real soon.